Alright YouTubers, what's going on? Talking about some watches today, and in this video we're actually going to highlight a company and a few of their watches. Timex. Now raise your hand if you've never heard Timex. Heard of Timex. No one did, because they've been around forever. They have been making watches since, right there, 1854. That is a long time. Longer than most of us, longer than all of us watching this video have been alive. So, I wanted to kind of highlight them because I think for a old, excuse me, I'm taking a drink, American company, been around a long time making watches, their recent offerings have a really cool design element to them that I really like. First of all, they're a great value. You can get a Timex quartz for a good one of these good looking models for maybe $35 up to $80. You're not going to spend typically over $100 ever on a Timex. And so they present a great value, but they have a lot of good styling and a lot of classic design elements that I really like. So we've got three models here in front of you. We'll talk about their most popular one first, which is the Weekender. This little guy, and I say little because it's a smaller watch, has been around a long time and is probably their best-selling watch. I think it is on Amazon for sure. It is their best-selling watch. It's a pretty basic watch. It's a field-style watch. It reminds me a lot of a budget version of like a Hamilton khaki or any other field watches. Just got your simple numeric dials here. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then you got your military time underneath that. So it's got a military vibe to it. It's got a very classic round case. Just round. I think this one is about 38 millimeters, so it's a little small for me. But this is a great little watch. Just this basic quartz. It's really attractive. Has that nice red second hand. It's nice silver dials. And, you know, it uses a mineral crystal. It's going to scratch. But it's a $35 watch. I put it on this little OD Green NATO. Looks really good. Now, it's a little small for me. I don't wear watches in this size range, so I actually gave this to my wife, and we've kind of put some different bands on it. And I've actually ordered her another Weekender because it's just a good little watch, and she likes it. And they have a lot of female styles. They have a ton of options for these. Your light is going to be Indiglo. So you press this button on the side, the crown here on the side, and it's obviously not screwed down, so it's very little water resistance, maybe 30 meters. And you can't pick it up there. And we'll do a video or a shot here of all the lume of these different models. But so the indices do not lume, the numbers do not lume. It's just a push button, but you do have a light, which a lot of quartz watches don't have that. I shouldn't say a lot of quartz watches. A lot of watches that don't have luminous dial, luminous numbers, indices and such, don't have any kind of light. So when it's in the dark, you're just kind of up a creek. So the cool thing is you can push that in and you can see what time it is. So the Weekender's been around a long time, and like I said, #1 selling Timex watch on Amazon. This is also a Weekender, but a different variation. It's the Chronograph, and I think this is a seriously good looking watch. I saw this and I was like, I just love that nice blue dial with the white numbers, white chronographs there. You have this classic round case here, highly polished, sits pretty high off the wrist, which is kind of nice. Comes with this leather NATO strap, which it's not the best leather. It's pretty thin, which I don't mind the thinness, but it's kind of the cheaper feel to it. But the color combination of this is perfect. I think it's awesome. It just works really well. So I saw this, and I think this one's about $50 to $60 on Amazon. And I thought, wow, that's a good deal. I mean, that's a good looking watch. You can wear with quite a bit of things, and it's got a really classic vintage style to it. And it only costs $60. The Chronograph does work on it. You know, you just press this button here to start the timer. You got your other aspects here of the Chronograph that won't. This one down here is actually the second hand. So if I stop that, you'll see it moves this, and then the second hand is actually this bottom chronograph. Very similar. I have a lot of watches that have that same feature. So you do have the timing function of it. Is it going to be the best? Probably not. It's, you know, It does have the reset on it. It does line up correctly, so it works. It functions. Not something I really use. I just like the style of the chronograph. But this one does have the indigo light as well that we can't see here. And like I said, I'll do a little shot here in a minute. But for 50, 60 bucks, the style of this watch is really good. You get a good quality. It's going to be able to take a beating and still work. It's not a G-Shock or anything like that, but for a daily wear, for a casual watch, that's why they call them the Weekender. They're just a nice little, it's just a nice piece. It's just really inexpensive and looks really good. I love the styling on it. They also have these new collection they have called the Waterbury. Now I was going to do an individual review on this watch, but I decided to kind of lump these three together as a brand. So this is the new Waterbury collection. It's kind of hinting back to their, heritage here. You can see since 1954, Indigo Original. This is the Waterbury. This is one of many. They have a few different options in this line. This is a military aviator style watch. It's got a nice domed crystal, which is a really cool feature. I really dig that. That's what kind of drew me to this watch. You can see how much the crystal domes up out over the bezel. And it's just really handsome. It just adds a nice vintage look to it. Looks really good. Get your date window here. A nice tan. We'll call it a tan dial. The hour and second hand or minute hand do have lume on them actually on this model, and they have Indiglo. And then you have the orange tipped second hand, and it's a quartz movement. The band on this one I really like. It's definitely a step up from the Weekender here. It's a nice leather. It's kind of got a greeny feel to it. It's a really nice little NATO strap that comes on the watch. And you can see here you've got the Waterbury genuine leather. So these are a little bit more expensive. This is about $80. Probably the higher end of the Timex line. And it's a really fantastic watch. I really enjoy it. It has a 40mm case, as does the Weekender Chronograph. These are both 40mm, which is probably the smallest I like to go. It's a good size. 42 is kind of my sweet spot, but these are 40, and it works. It's a good size. It has a good Indiglo, and you can actually probably even see it. Yeah, you can actually see that light up on this one. So the Indiglo on this one is much better. It's a newer, version. But like I said, the hour and minute hands do have lume on them also. So even without hitting the Indiglo, you can still see those in the dark. No, they're not. Without fail, there's the furnace kicking on. It's just kind of funny. It was nice and quiet in here for a while, but so let's go ahead and we'll do a lume shot here. Turn off the lights and kind of show you how they glow. Didn't mean to bump that camera. Alright, so you can see on the, well actually, on this Weekender you actually can barely see it. You can kind of see the lume on the hands, and so it actually has it on the hour hands as well. Not very bright. I haven't charged these up or anything at all like I used to do. And then there's your Indiglo light. So you press that light, you're going to easily be able to see that dial in the dark. Here's the Waterbury. You can actually see this has I haven't charged this up. It has a decent lume. You can see the hour, but the Indiglo on this one is much better. I mean, it's bright. You can easily see that dial in the dark. So that's kind of a nice feature. Then on the Weekender, like I said, you're not going to see anything here until I press the button. And I can't even get that to work. The battery might be running low on this one because I'm pressing the Indiglo and it shuts off automatically. So that may be a indication the battery's going out. But either way, it's not very bright on that model. So you can see it's pretty good light. I mean, if you need to see in the dark and, obviously I prefer luminous material on the numbers and the dials and everything, but in this case the Indiglo works and it's pretty bright, so works really well on both these models. Now another good model that they have is called the Expedition Scout, which I did have one for a brief time. I ended up returning it for, I can't remember why. I think it's because I had this Waterbury, or maybe it was the Weekender, I'm not sure, but and that's another great option, a field style watch that's extremely popular. It's one of their best sellers as well. So I'll put a link in the description to my Amazon store that has all these watches available. But I just think Timex is really killing it for the budget line with these designs, because they're not expensive, but they look more expensive, if that makes sense. They don't, they have that kind of more premium, especially like the Waterbury collection with this domed crystal and such. It just looks like a more expensive watch, but it's not. It's under 80. It's about $80 watch. They're all under $100. Some of them are under 50. I think this chrono has this nice vintage look. It looks a lot more expensive than it is. I've gotten compliments on that watch, like, "Oh, that's a nice watch. How much was that?" Kind of thinking, "Geez, that's going to be a couple $100." I'm like, "Oh, it's $60." So very inexpensive. Getting a little glare from the camera. I'm going to try to avoid that. Very inexpensive line of watches, but they're great. They work well. My only negative, I would say, is like on this one here, the band's a little cheaper material. It almost doesn't feel like real leather. It says it's genuine leather, but I like the style of it and the look, and I think it goes well with the color, but it's kind of a little cheaper. So the materials used are a little just cheaper materials. This one is actually is a good example that it doesn't tick very loud. The movement on this one, the movement on most of these Timexes, is pretty loud. So I don't know if the camera audio is going to pick that up, and probably not. But that's one thing I will say is, if you have this watch on your wrist, you're going to hear it. Like, even when it's not up by your wrist, if you just have your arm on your desk and you're just kind of hanging out, you're going to hear your watch ticking. That kind of bugs some people. But you can't expect a lot for this price range when it comes to a quartz movement. It's a basic quartz. It's going to keep good time, very accurate timekeeping. Actually, I have had zero issue with any of these keeping good time, and that's just one of my negative picks on the Timex budget watches here, is that they're just have a loud movement. Nicely enough, this Weekender Chronograph does not, so I'm not sure why that one is quiet. It is very quiet though. But these two are definitely loud. You definitely hear them. So anyways, guys, there's a lot of good options out there for Timex. If you are on a budget and want a nice looking watch, and you don't want to go digital, you want to go analog, you want kind of a vintage look or a military style look, you've got that. You can spend well under $100, and you can get a really good looking watch with good movements, and that nice Indiglow feature, and really good styling, really retro. If that's kind of what you're into, that's kind of what I like in watches, is a little more retro look, and I think they're just fantastic. So again, they make these for the ladies, so I got my wife another Weekender, just actually going to be here later today, that has a nice like floral kind of band on it she really liked. She thought it was cute, and they have tons of different options on that model. So, but check out the Waterbury collection, guys. I think that's kind of that's my favorite of these, is the new Waterbury collection. There's quite a few options out there. Some chronographs, there's some more aviator style, there's some field style. There's quite a good selection there. A lot of them have this domed crystal, so they're kind of they're premium, I guess you'd say. But you're still going to spend $80 or less. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video on the Timex series watches here. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We'll catch you on the next one.